In this video, we're going over some of the reasons you might want to reconsider moving to Eastern North Carolina. What's up, guys? I'm Avery with American Home Team at eXp Realty here in Eastern North Carolina along the coast. And as much as I love making these videos for you guys, I would love even more to help you with your real estate needs. So that phone number and email address popping up on the screen, I am the one that responds to all the calls, texts, and emails. I would love to have a conversation with you and help you make a smooth move. And if you're looking at a different part of North Carolina than Eastern North Carolina, I would absolutely love to help you as well. I have a network of professionals across the state that I trust 1,000% to help you make that smooth move. But without further ado, guys, let's hop into the video. All right, so the number 1 and 2 reasons that you may want to reconsider moving to the area is the lack of job opportunities as well as the lower wages. And of course, this is compared to some of the larger metropolitan areas of North Carolina, but Eastern North Carolina is a bunch of these little beach towns. There's not a ton of commercial in the area, and the primary industry is tourism. So unless you are in the hospitality business, property management business, or tourism in general, maybe you own a mom and pop shop that, you offer souvenirs and things like that, there's not that many opportunities as far as jobs go. You're not looking at these big Fortune 500 companies in the area, with the exception of a few, right? There's Corning, there's a few other big, businesses, that Fortune 500 businesses that you might be able to find a job at. But typically, a lot of the employees that work at those jobs are relocating in from other parts of the country. So just something to keep in mind. And when you do get a job here, because the cost of living is lower than the national average, or, right there on par with the national average, typically you are going to be decreasing your wages as well. So the number 1 and 2 reasons are the job opportunities and the lower wages. It just is what it is. If you're in the professional services industry, much like myself, or maybe in financial services, or an attorney or something like that, there's going to be plenty of business for you here. However, it is a little bit harder to get up and going in those industries. Take it from me, it just is what it is. Everything here is a little bit slower. And so business isn't done the same way throughout the United States. And so when you're looking at moving your business here in the professional services industry, it's going to be a little bit more challenging. All right, and the number 3 reason that you might want to reconsider living here is the access to quality healthcare. Now, because the area is so rural, right? Because there's islands everywhere and there's not a ton of big infrastructure in the area, your access to quality healthcare is very limited. You will have to travel, 30 minutes or so to get to a major emergency center if it's needed. Some of the bigger areas like the Wilmington, Jacksonville, New Bern, those areas have some of these bigger healthcare facilities. However, if you live anywhere other than those areas, it is going to be a 20-30 minute drive. And so when you're looking at emergency services, it's something to consider. Something happens in your house and you need to drive 30 minutes, unfortunately that could change the outcome of things. Now, what I will say is there are a ton of small family practices, there's dialysis centers, there's little specialty care clinics and things of that nature. But in this case, I'm referring specifically to the larger healthcare facilities with your emergency centers and that kind of thing. They're not all, top of the line healthcare facilities. You'll definitely want to do your research on what some of these facilities have to offer in terms of care, but they're few and far between. You will have to go into a bigger city in order to get some of these bigger facilities. One of the things that my family was considering when we moved here is, hey, if we have another baby, where is the closest birthing center? Right? Where are we going to go? Are we going to go to Onslow Memorial? Are we going to go into Wilmington, New Bern? Where are we going to go and how far is that? Right? So something you're definitely going to want to consider, whether you're later on in your life or you're, a young family just kind of starting things out. What does all of that look like, and what are your needs, right? Do you need dialysis? Do you need like an autism center or something like that? It's all considerations that you're gonna have to make prior to moving. Moving on, we have education. A lot of you that contact me are always asking about schools. What are the good school districts? Where should I live in order to get good schools, right? That's something that's obviously very important. And what I'll say about that is that Eastern North Carolina is not very well funded. So when you're looking at school districts and what are good school districts versus, not so good school districts, I'm only allowed to say so much based on my license and whatnot. A lot of it is opinionated, but there are some great resources that you can go on to, like bestplaces.net, niche.com, and you can look up the school ratings. What I'll tell you is because of the lack of funding, a lot of people have a lot of complaints about the school districts here. So before you move here, you're gonna want to pay attention to the area and what school districts there are in that area. All right, number 5 is the extreme weather. Eastern North Carolina, there's no secret about it, gets hit with weather much more than other parts of North Carolina. And what I mean by weather is tropical storms and hurricanes, right? Much more impacted than other parts of the state. So when a hurricane rolls through and it's rolling off the East Coast, it is gonna impact North Carolina. Whether it's a Cat 5 hurricane, or if it's just a cyclone or a tropical storm, that's a different story. But we do get our fair share of thunderstorms, lightning storms, and just tropical weather throughout peak hurricane season. Other parts of the state, yes, they get rain, they get wind, they get some hail and things like that, during the hurricane time, but they're not dealing with the massive flooding that we might have on the eastern part of the state, or the storm surge, or just some of the devastation that can happen during that time. What I will say is that the majority of Eastern North Carolina is very, very prepared for these circumstances. For hurricanes and tropical storms and stuff, we do have the infrastructure set up to be able to, get through it in the best way possible. And, for the most part, when you lose your electricity and stuff, you're not gonna be out of electricity for more than 24 hours. And if you've ever been up north where you lose your power in the winter and it might be out for 24 to 48 hours, you know how big of a deal it is to have your power. So with that said, yeah, it is a downside that you're gonna wanna consider. It is a little bit more expensive for flood insurance, wind and hail, that kind of thing, but it's mild all year round. The weather is beautiful and you get to benefit from blue skies every single day. At the time of recording, this is the week of Halloween and it's almost 80 degrees. It's sunny. It's got a nice little breeze. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's beautiful. So the majority of the year, this is what you get. But yes, you do get hurricanes, you do get tropical storms, but when you become a local, you stop caring about it and you just live your life. Number 6 is the lack of cultural amenities. This isn't Charlotte. This isn't Raleigh, right? It's not Asheville. This is not New York City, right? So you're not gonna be getting those big nightclubs. You're not gonna be getting some of the bigger amenities that some of the bigger cities have. So if you're a partier and you like that night scene, right? Your best bet are a couple of the breweries around here. Some live music on the sand. It's a little bit more low key than some of the hustle and bustle in the big cities. So if you're a fan of that kind of thing, this isn't the area for you. It is a little bit more laid back. It's more low key. You have a drink or two at the brewery, at the winery, or at a pub, and you go and enjoy the time on the beach or just outside enjoying the weather, but you're not gonna get those big nightclubs. Wilmington and Jacksonville have a few little nightclubs per se that you can take advantage of. Some of the bigger areas in Eastern North Carolina, they do have small nightclubs, but you're not talking about, nightclubs that are open 24/7, 7 days a week to go and party at. So if you're a party animal and that's your scene, not gonna be, this isn't gonna be the place for you. It's a little bit more laid back and low key. All right, number 7 is the lack of diversity. Eastern North Carolina does have a lot less diversity than other parts of this state. Generally speaking, you go into big cities, Charlotte, Raleigh, Asheville, whatever, you see a lot more cultural diversity. On the eastern part of the state, you don't really get that. It's a lot more rural, and there's a lot less hustle bustle. There's a lot less diversity in this part of the state. And in my opinion, that is not necessarily a good thing, which is why that's a consideration that you might have prior to moving here. So if you're looking for more cultural diversity, you're probably gonna wanna go to one of the bigger cities. I will say it's getting better, and everybody is very friendly and respectful and accepting here in this part of the state. But as of right now in 2023, it is not that diverse. I come from a area in upstate New York with a lack of diversity, and what I'll say is that Eastern North Carolina is probably worse than that. So, you know, not a lot of diversity in this part of the state. But what I will say is as you go closer to some of the military installations, maybe in Fayetteville or Jacksonville, or towards some of the college campuses, you will get a little bit more diversity. But still, it's not a lot. Right, and number 8 is public transportation. There is not a lot of public transportation in the area because a lot of it is rural, and a lot of it is islands and you know, waterfront towns and stuff. Unless you go into the bigger cities, you know, you're not going to get a lot of public transport. There are some buses that you can take advantage of, but they are fewer and far between than obviously some of the bigger cities. That is to be expected because it's a more rural area, it's a more beachfront area, waterfront, you know, so there's not a lot of public transport opportunities. But with that said, it is getting better. So, you know, as more and more people move here to the eastern part of the state, I do expect to see the transportation start to increase and get better and better every single year. All right, and number 9 is that we are a little further away to the major cities, right? It's a given. I've been talking about it all video. But we're looking at generally around 2 to 2.5 hours. So if you can't live your life being 2 hours away from all of your major attractions, right? All of your major conveniences and that kind of thing, then this isn't going to be the area for you. You might want to reconsider living in Eastern North Carolina. All right, and number 10 is the seasonal tourism. Now, because Eastern North Carolina is a majority of beach towns, you do get a lot of tourists coming here, especially in the summer months. So during peak season, so you have April through like October timeframe, traffic will be bad. The beaches will be much more crowded. The restaurants, the stores, everything will be much more crowded. You'll have people that don't know how to drive. And overall, it just is a little bit more annoying than the rest of the year. However, the tourism is a good thing because it brings money into your economy and ends up paying a lot of the local businesses, a lot of the mom and pop stops, the restaurants, and all of that good stuff. But if you don't like crowds of people, if you don't like crowded beaches and that kind of thing, then this isn't gonna be the area for you. And with all that said, ladies and gentlemen, if you found value in this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you're notified every single time I put out a new video. And once again, if you are looking at making a move to the Eastern North Carolina region or North Carolina at all, I would love to talk with you and help you guys make a smooth move here to North Carolina. So my phone number and email address are popping up on the screen. And until the next video, guys, peace. I'll see you later. Bye.